Hi everybody, welcome to Evening TV. I'm Evening Ransom. Some time ago I talked to you about a book called Children of the Self-Absorbed, and a sequel has been made called Children of the Aging Self-Absorbed. So the Children of the Self-Absorbed, in the cover it says, A Grown-Up's Guide to Getting Over Narcissistic Parents. And on Children of the Aging Self-Absorbed it says, A Guide to Coping with Difficult Narcissistic Parents and Grandparents. It breaks down that there's these different kinds of aging self-absorbed parents, and it's really very counterintuitive to a normal thinking person. For instance, okay, so they say basically there's 4 types, and there's the clingy type, the suspicious defensive type, the arrogant type, and the belligerent type. And I have figured out that I have between the suspicious defensive and the arrogant. And the suspicious defensive, very much so. Basically, and if you can figure out what kind of parent you have, then you can figure out how to deal with them and what to basically expect. So some of the exercises to begin with, it asks you, okay, so on a scale from 1 to 5, think about your parent and rate the extent to which you experience these reactions. Okay, so 1 is never or almost never, 2 is sometimes, 3 is often, 4 is very often, and 5 is always or almost always, okay? And so then it just basically gives 11 emotions. So 1, guilt for not meeting their expectations. Me, never. Shame for not being good enough. Never. This is now, by the way. Resentment, feeling you were unfairly treated. Yes. I'd say 5. Always. I always feel that way. Frustration. Often. 3. Hopelessness. Helplessness about my relationship with them. 4. Dread or apprehension of having to interact with them. No. I don't interact with them. No. Self-doubt, no. Anger, 3, often. Fear, no. Sadness, yes. Sadness, very often, 4. Okay, down below 25, I believe, which says you have few negative feelings, most of which are not very intense. So basically it tells you your intensity of your feelings, and then how to deal with them, how you want to proceed with having a relationship with them, because your parents are having an impact on you, and they're having an impact on your children and on your whole family as a whole. So it may be really necessary to not be around them. And so in this book they help you to decide what kinds of interactions that you are having, if they're necessary to have them, or if you can let them go and not have them at all. So if we're trying to figure out what kind of parent you have, I'll just give you a quick rundown. Okay, so there's the clingy type. So the clingy type seeks or seems to seek sympathy from you and others, is demanding of your time and efforts on their behalf, focuses on what she does not have, is missing, or is was wanted, wants constant attention, points out how she is suffering, seeks pity, smothers you with attention, is intrusive, and the like, is in the child role with you and with you in the adult role, cries easily and often, expects you and others to meet her needs at the expense of your own and others' needs, and carps, complains, and whines. Okay, that's not my parents. Now this sounds much more like my parents. Okay. And again, you could do the almost, the never, almost, sometimes, never, frequently, very often, and always, okay? So those ones I would say, those are pretty much nevers. So, but this one, these are almost always. Makes comments that suggest that she's suspicious of your motives and motives of others. Assumes that the most negative perceptions of whatever you do or say. Seems to feel that you are deliberately neglecting her. Is overly sensitive to any hint of perceived criticism. Expects you and others to be perfect, is rigid and unbending, tends to be very concrete and detailed, asks numerous questions, is calculating and manipulative, keeps others at a distance, easily takes offense. Okay, that's that one. Now, The arrogant displays a superior attitude, boasts and brags about personal possessions, accomplishments, and the like, takes unearned credit for others' achievements, fails to assume responsibility for mistakes, exhibits an entitlement attitude, oh my gosh, is contemptuous of you and others, is quick to point out others' deficiencies and mistakes, feels that you owe her, assumes she is right and should always receive deference, feels that she has the right to take advantage of others, gives orders and expects prompt compliance, and is sarcastic. Okay, that sounds like both of my parents and my ex-husband. Totally. Okay. And then finally, the belligerent. The belligerent one seems angry all the time. Now, this is going to be much more like my ex-husband. Seems angry all the time. Is combative, even about trivial matters. Criticizes and blames you and others for personal discomfort. Is quick to take offense to perceived insults, slights, and the like. Carries grudges. Talks loudly and fast. Interrupts others, talks over others. Promotes discord and conflict among others. Can be easily angered and teases and taunts others until they become distressed. That was my ex, completely. That was my ex. Okay, so basically this book is just about how to deal with aging narcissists and how to maneuver within the boundaries of these relationships if you must continue carrying them on, if you wish to continue to carry them on. Give a good prognosis for there being any resolution. So sad, it's kind of a blessing in disguise that this is a learning process and you learn over time, because had I known 15 years ago where this would end up, or that there would be no progress, that there would be just nothing learned or gained by any of these family members, it would have been just so sad. It would have just been so sad. And so maybe having that hope and it made it so that I stayed a little bit more optimistic, and always willing and open to it, to them making changes, and I always believed that they would. I expected any minute I was going to get all 15 years. I expected any minute I was going to get some kind of call or some kind of letter or something that said, I don't know what we're doing here. You're my daughter. You're my sister. I love you. I don't know what happened. I don't know what I was thinking. We need to talk. We need to talk.